Alrighty, guys. Today we're going to be talking about designing your website for your digital action project. This is giving you some kind of tips and ideas for how to put this all together. The number one thing that you have to realize is that websites are different from essays. You may feel like you have been moving through a process that is similar to perhaps a past CRP or a research project or research essay, but the way that the information is presented is going to be different. Think about informational websites or just websites that you have seen before. You want to avoid large chunk of text. People simply don't read large chunks of text. They don't want to. They skim, or it's just too much, and then they get bored. Don't put too much information on one page. You're going to have different multiple pages. You're going to have sub pages, and you don't want a confusing layout, something that has too many graphics, too many things going on, words and videos and audio and things on the side and all this stuff that is just too much for the eyes. Keep things short-ish. Okay, and that includes when you're describing your research, when you're describing your position and your viewpoints. You can't have like a full web page, just like a large chunk of text. You have to think about where you can keep things short and have multiple pages that are easy to navigate. But you may be wondering, how do I include my thesis and my sources into this website? And the answer is synthesize. Okay, and that's connecting research to each other. You've done a lot with your research in terms of finding them and evaluating if this is good or credible research. Now, something that you also have to think about when you're starting to put this all together and actually build content into your web page is starting to thinking about synthesizing information. Synthesis, by definition, is combining information from multiple sources and adding it to your own analysis and voice. You can include multiple sources on one web page, for example, that is backing up what you want to say about your topic, or maybe backing up a subtopic. This avoids 7 pages dedicated to your 7 individual sources. That's not going to show any sense of you putting all this research together to make an argument and to have a position. So how do you do it? You think about how your sources connect with each other. Does one disagree with another? Does one author extend the ideas of another author? Does any author raise new questions or ideas about the topic? Okay, so let's take one, for example. Excuse me. Does one author disagree with another? Okay, so for this one, that might be a great way to put in an opposition. If you agree with one author but not another, put them together. Start with kind of explaining what one author says. Start with explaining why, and then continue explaining why another author disagrees with that author, and then show who you ultimately agree with and why. Okay, so that's kind of a way that you can put things together. When you make this connection, you can include multiple sources on one page, but don't forget to include your own analysis of the information. It should constantly be clear what your position is. And maybe you do want to have a page that is only about your thesis and explaining your thesis, having that written down, explaining that a little bit further. Maybe you do want to have that as kind of like a very clear, this is my position type of thing. Remember that you should provide quotes from your research, but they can be a little shorter than what I require for essays, because I usually tell you to be about 3 to 4 lines, right? But you don't necessarily need to have that long. You're trying to be a little bit more succinct. You're trying to be shorter and clearer and get your point across maybe in a shorter way than you would do in an essay, and that's okay. Okay, but you should have quotes from your research to prove that you are knowledgeable about the subject in order to be able to take a position in the first place. So let's talk about some tips for website design. How do you make your website appeal to a larger audience? Okay, so that's the big question. I have 6 tips. Number 1, have a plan. Map out your reader's journey. What pages do you want them to view? How will information be organized? What order do you want everything to be in? Map out the way you want someone to look through your website. Provide images. Websites are visual. Provide appropriate images, which means like appropriate to your topic, maybe short videos, maybe short audio, right? Anything that you can find, or create. You can create short videos, you can create short audio too. Having more of your presence in a website makes it personal and makes it more appealing. So you can even take your own pictures, or you can make a little short video or something like that. I mean, these little touches make it seem like you're really invested and you've really put the work into creating this kind of multimedia presentation. And I think it would be really cool to think about doing stuff like that, but don't make things too complicated or too long. Here is a place you can go for stock photo, if you wanted to include some stock photos as well. Okay, create a homepage. What do you want your audience to see as soon as they click on your site? How do you use the homepage to direct your readers to proper areas of your site to ensure a seamless experience? Refer to this infographic. You can click on that link if you want to see more. I will tell you though that a lot of stuff that I found in terms of like best tips for websites have to do with websites that are like business minded and are for buying stuff, essentially like e-commerce. So this infographic might have some like e-commerce stuff, but you can just kind of think without the e-commerce. You don't have to sell anything on your site. So you can think without that. Okay. Don't be afraid of white space. White space is an essential design element that helps you break up the page and increase readability. It's really important to have breaks in your writing and breaks in your paragraphs. I have a link of good examples of websites that incorporate great design plus white space, but I will let you know that I'm not expecting you to be able to achieve the design that these professionals have achieved from years of working in the industry. It's just a model and maybe an inspiration for you, but don't think that that's like the examples on that website is the examples I'm necessarily expecting. But maybe you can kind of look at some of those websites and get some kind of inspiration of how they put it together, how their graphics look, how their white space looks. Those could be things that you can use. Okay. Next step is test. Go through your site many times. Make sure all the images work. If you are putting any other multimedia stuff in it, make sure that multimedia works. Make sure the navigation makes sense. Proofread all of your stuff. Okay. Have someone else look at it and see if they can navigate it easily and understand the point of your website. Right. So even if you want to give it to another group and exchange group in your class, have them look at it and give you some tips. Be like, maybe some group would say like, I got confused, like you didn't have a navigation place for this page I think you wanted us to get to, or I didn't know where to go after this. Right, these are things that you might be able to kind of troubleshoot before you turn it in. Okay. Keep it simple, keep it clean, keep it clear, not only in your writing but in the overall look. But be creative. Think about ways that you can make this website your own. And think of ways that your group can really be creative in how you are presenting the information. Okay. And put your own personal touches to it. This is your website. You have hopefully a passion or at least an interest for what you're writing about. Show that, right? Show that through your design and through your content. Okay. Don't forget to include an about page, which is a great place to talk about how a book inspired you, right? If you want to go back to your book clubs, introduce yourselves, right? Someplace, you might not be in the about page, but someplace where you can introduce yourselves. A contact us page, you need that as well. A call to action or what you can do page or multiple sub pages for that as well. Okay, so don't remember to include all that stuff as well. And that's pretty much it that I have for you guys in terms of website design. I know that you guys are on the internet, so you know how web pages work and you know what makes a good web page or website versus a not so great website. And so that's what I want you to be considering when you are putting this all together. So today, your plan for today is to work on building the website. Get that content in. Think about ways that you can personalize and be creative. Find any photos, pictures, or take pictures, whatever you need to do, right? Find some of that stuff. Okay, and start kind of putting that in and getting the actual website design going. Alrighty, we will be meeting next class. And next class, we will be talking a little bit about the presentation section. Okay, get to it.